ahead and get started. Faith, are you good with that?
I am.
Perfect. So again, like Faith has said a couple of times, if you haven't already, go ahead and rename yourself so that we see your grade level. With your name, you can click the three dots that is in your Zoom icon, like the Brady Bunch is what I always think of, kind of dating myself. But be sure your grade is there. And we are going to jump in and get started. So Faith alluded to, it is the new year, and it is, and we want to welcome you all back. Hopefully you all have found time for yourself to find rest and rejuvenate yourself with whatever works for you. Hopefully you use some of Winona's tips that she had for us back in November, and that you were just feeling rejuvenated and ready to come back. And I know today was the first day back with your kids. So hopefully it was a good day for you. But right now in the chat, or you can unmic, look at either one of these questions and which one, you pick one that you want to answer and share with us as a team, as a group. So first one is, what are you most looking forward to in 2024? Or how did you make time for yourself over the break?
I can go. I did not make time for myself over break, but I just moved here 6 months ago, so we were like cleaning and putting the house together finally. And we're looking forward to getting our fostering license because we started that over the break as well.
That's so exciting. That is awesome. Good for you. That's amazing. Good for you. Anybody else? Made lots of time to relax. Good. Reset. Yes. Time. Oh, okay, Christy. I think you got the best the best gift. Your husband gave you that time. That is so nice. That is so nice. Good. Awesome. Slept a lot. So did I. Binge watched a lot of TV. Hey, Miss Parveen. Good. Good. Everybody had a good time and found some time for you. That's awesome. Looking forward to seeing your students maturing and growing. Yes. And y'all, it's amazing. Like by the time they enter your grade level at the grade level you are, so fourth grade, but truly by the time Valentine's Day comes around, you're talking to fifth graders. They've become so mature. It's got, well, majority of them, they have, it's a nice thing to see. Okay. That is, oh, somebody got a gym membership. Good for you. Cause I started going back yesterday and I'm feeling it too right now. So, anyway, all right. So we are going to keep moving on. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts for the new year. Our agenda today consists of talking through formative assessments again, debriefing those small group instructional videos that you all watched, and looking at how to plan for those small group moves that the teacher you saw in the videos using in her actual teacher-led small groups. And then we're going to shift to getting into our next steps. And y'all, we only have one more meeting, which is hard to believe. But we're going to go ahead and jump in.
Catherine,
yeah.
Can I get you to hold on just a second? You guys,
Yep.
I still have about 5 people that have not put their grade level at the front of their name yet. So last opportunity, Bree, Jody, Kenyatta, Shanaz, and Yasmin. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but please put your grade level at the front of your name by clicking the 3 dots in your picture. If it's not in there when we go to breakout rooms, you guys will just be in a random grade level. So please put that at the front of your name.
Kenyatta Faith is kindergarten. She has it at the back of her name.
Sorry, I can't see that in the
thing. All good.
Thank
all
you.
Good. You are welcome. You are welcome. Okay. All right. So last time when we were here and we had Winona's session, we talked briefly about the purpose of formative assessments. Okay. We took some time to go into the actual QPTS wheel. Remember, the QPTS wheel are quality plus teaching strategies that we in Gwinnett value. And they are all research-based, and these are proven strategies that will move our kids forward, and formative assessments is one of the biggies for us. And the purpose of them is to help you identify your students' strengths and weaknesses when working with a particular IOA, trying to gain access to the AKS and the mastery of that AKS. The other intent of formative assessments is it provides that targeted instruction based on those strengths and weaknesses. So if we know a second grade student is struggling to regroup from the tens place to the, or from the hundreds place to the tens place, if we're subtracting 3-digit numbers, then we know exactly where to pinpoint that instruction for them. And the same for proficiency. If our kids are proficient, we can target their strengths and move them forward. This also, with formative assessments, it gives us the opportunity to provide students to our to provide feedback to our students, and they can help set those goals and monitor their progress too. And, you know, feedback for them might be, hey, I brought you back to this small group because I noticed some confusion with you finding equivalency with, I'm thinking 4th grade, fractions as decimals, the fractions to decimals, those equivalencies, or tenths to hundredths, whatever the case may be. But being intentional and giving that feedback. And most of the time when you give students that intentional feedback, they're like, oh gosh, I can't believe that. They just need to hear from you, and it helps them, again, set their goals, okay? And if you need a reminder, you can always go back into our QPTS wheel to click back in, and just, there's a quick short list of the look fors you can go through. All right, so we also last time briefly looked at a set of 2 samples of student work from 2nd grade. And you all worked in your groups. You worked across grade bands, I think, which is awesome because you get, you can hear different perspectives about one piece of work from 5th grade teachers to kindergarten teachers. So we also asked you to watch the videos regarding how the teacher addressed both sample 1 and sample 2 work and those misconceptions. In sample 1, just as a reminder, the student did use the part whole thinking appropriately. They recognized that she she didn't know the whole, but she needed to join the parts, which was awesome. So that the whole was the unknown. This child also solved it using 2 strategies. She used the base 10 model, which is correct, but the number line doesn't quite match the add-ins that were given with the base 10 model. So yeah, he really ended up adding the 3 plus 5 twice right here, and then just jumping 8 instead of jumping 45, okay? The student also didn't notice, like we just talked about, I hit on that the models didn't match. So those are some of the things that we needed to hone in on with that kid. The sample 2 student, they didn't appear to understand the context, because when you look at that part whole model, the student believed that the larger number was the whole, so she was going to remove the part. Okay, so that is something that's a big deal for our kids as they move forward, is understanding what's going on in a problem and using that part whole thinking. And we talked about that would be her first small group. She did use base 10 models to subtract what she thought was appropriate. 45 minus 23, which is 21. She used that appropriately. However, we need to work with her a little bit on that number line, so she learns to use the number line to solve that correctly. So we had 2 wrong answers, but definitely 3 different small groups. All right. So with that in mind, you are going to go out and debrief with your grade level teammates, okay? Faith is going to send us out into breakout rooms. And when you go out into these breakout rooms, when you watch these videos, you had a note taker and you should have your notes from that. Be sure to take your homework with you into the breakout rooms, and you're going to use these questions to kind of guide your discussion with your team in that, okay? Faith is going to drop in the chat a document that, which she's already done, that is going to help scaffold your breakout debriefs. Okay. Faith, are we good?
All right, the rooms are open. There's still a couple of people. So after everyone joins, if you want to change your name, and I can put you in the appropriate grade level room. Almost everyone's back.
That's awesome.
Almost.
Okay. So real quickly, before we move into our next segment where we learn how to do this planning for what you observed in the video, let's just very briefly, if you can unmic and share some of your thoughts from your small groups that you were just in. How was the first small group different from the second small group? What were some of y'all's noticings?
Or if you're feeling bashful and want to put it in the chat, you can do it that way as well.
So if you didn't have a chance to watch that video, the first small group video was truly a catch and release small group where the student on student sample, work sample 1, they just had some miscalculations, some real simple, quick fixes. So the teacher called that student to the table and addressed it with that student and sent them on their way. And that student was finished with her small group in about 2.5 minutes. Whereas the other group of students in sample 2 video, they were there at the small group table for about, I think it was 7-ish, 8-ish minutes, I believe, if I remember correctly. But the teacher really got into how to use a number line to do that work, okay? Did any of you notice any instructional moves or any feedback that you noticed the student providing to check to see if the student was understanding?
You guys, Ms. Huff just made a great point in the chat. She's being upfront and saying, I didn't have time to watch it. But if you weren't at the last session or you missed the emails, everything is posted on the New Teacher Math Academy page that you can access. They're very short video clips if you want to go back and watch those. And we're kind of like going backwards, like you're seeing the video, and then we're going to talk to you how the teacher planned in just a second. So Catherine, maybe for the sake of time, we go ahead and move on.
I am with you on that. So,
okay, you guys. So if you watch the video, we're kind of thinking, how did that teacher get into those differentiated small groups? So this is a tool that you can find on the Math Office page. It just helps us think about the different components that help us plan teacher-led small groups, well, student small groups in general, but we're going to focus on teacher-led for today's portion. So the teacher in the video that you saw began by knowing her AKS. You have to know what you're teaching, how you're teaching it in order to assess student learning. So from the pacing guide, the teacher selected the formative that aligned with the instruction for that day, completed herself with the strategies that she expected students to use, and then finally gave her students that assessment and used their misconceptions and understandings to inform her small group. So this is a document you can find if you want something to reference with some bullet points. Okay, so AKS. We have to know the AKS. And in order to do that, you guys are going to want to dig into that Analyzing the Standards document and click the link for the IOA or IOAs that you're going to be teaching. So you can see that the teacher that used that looked at the instructional strategies that she had taught in the progression. So she had already taught those 10s and 1s, and she had taught how to add and subtract on a number line. Another important thing in the ATS to really dig into are those common misconceptions for the IOA. This is going to help you because it's going to build your background knowledge. When you start looking at those student work samples, you're going to have an idea of what misconceptions to anticipate. Will it cover every single misconception? No, your kids are going to come up with some things that we cannot anticipate every time, but it's going to give you a really good idea of the common misconceptions that students make. After the AKS, the teacher is going to select the formative assessment that she wants to assess student progress of that particular IOA. The teacher will complete that formative as if she were a student. So really thinking about the different student strategies that they may use. And you're going to kind of go ahead and start thinking about what might trick them up. What misconceptions might they have? Then after this teacher has done that thinking, she's going to give students the opportunity to take that formative and start analyzing that student work. So that's what we're going to do today. So y'all bear with me. I get nervous typing in front of people, but I'm going to do this thinking live in front of you on my screen. So Catherine's going to stop sharing and I'm going to start. Okay. Can y'all see this small group planner, Catherine?
Yes.
Perfect. So you guys, this is a small group planner. It's the one that I personally enjoy using. It's very simple. It allows me to take notes. To do is just kind of watch my thinking. So what I've done is I have a blank planner and I have pulled up the small group moves document that is linked with those IOAs that we were addressing in our instruction. So AKS2, IOA 2C, and 2E, and all of the misconceptions are here, or the general misconceptions are here, and they're going to be lessons provided for me to help me plan exactly what I'm going to do to address those misconceptions. So I'm going to go back to my planner. And the first thing I noticed when I looked at my student work was that I had students that were proficient. I had students that could solve single-step word problems. They were able to use a strategy, and they were able to record the correct equation. Now, I noticed that, or not noticed, I'm thinking about the fact that I have only worked with single-step word problems. So proficient is going to be some of that two-step, but I haven't introduced them to that yet. So let's see, when I go over to my small group moves document, I'm looking at, so we have IOA 2C, which is add up to 2 4-digit numbers. But then we also down here have IOA 2E, which is solve addition and subtraction within 100 using 1 and 2-step problems. So I'm thinking this is more of where my work is going to lie. I'm probably going to get better ideas from this section because that's really what my assessment was focused on. So as I'm reading, I'm looking for proficient. So I see there is something for proficient. Students are proficient with 1 and 2-step word problems. Okay, so I'm going to click that link and it's going to take me down to the page that I need. And I see that they do have something in here for students that are just proficient with 1-step word problems. So I am going to copy this little part. I'm going to use that 4-ways graphic organizer. That's going to be part of my plan. That's my strategy. Paste. I'm going to put that in there. But then you guys, just to make my life easier, I'm going to click this bookmark right here. And I'm going to copy that link into my small group planner. So now when I get ready, everything I need is here. The resources, the 4-ways protocol, and I can print just this page. Okay, so I know what I'm doing for my proficient students. I would record their names here and then take notes while I'm working with them. So I have a great system for anecdotal note taking. All right, the next group I noticed when I was looking at my student work, I have a group of students that were not able to really represent that problem with an equation. So students were not able to represent the scenario. They were solved correctly, but the equation that they wrote didn't match what the actual problem said. So since we're not able to represent the problem with the correct equation. Okay, so now I know that was my one misconception. So let's go back over to my small group moves, back to the top again. All right, 2E. Misconception 1 is keywords. No, that's not really what they were doing. Might end their solution. Oh, that's if they're doing 2 steps. So that's not what I'm looking for. Oh, misconception 3. Students are unable to write an equation to represent the problem. So that's where I want to go. And here we go. I have exactly what I need to work with those students. I am going to expose students to various problem types. That's what I'm going to be doing in my group. Paste that here. I know exactly what I'm doing. That way they can hear the language and figure out the correct situation. And then I'm going to copy that bookmark so I have everything ready to print. And honestly, if I were doing this in my classroom, I would just go ahead and print it while I'm going. Put my students, make noticings while I'm teaching. All right. My next set, I see that I have a group of students that it looks like they subtracted. I think they subtracted because of the word gave. So I think that they were really dependent on keywords to set up the problem. So let's go back. I remember seeing something for keywords. Back to the top. And yep, I did. Misconception 1, the student relies on keywords. Going down here, I am going to consider presenting 2 different problems that contain keywords. Everything's done for me. So far, my small groups are looking pretty good. Y'all, I don't have to do much planning. It's planned for me. I'm going to copy that bookmark. So I have it. Paste. My small group's ready for that one. So all I have to do is print and prep. Read that lesson plan before I teach it. Okay, the one that you guys saw the video for, the student actually had an error in calculation, but her calculation was based on her strategy. So she had an error with using the number line. So when I go back over to my small group moves, back to the top, I didn't see anything that was really about using a specific strategy. So we have this one right here that says computational errors that yield incorrect answers. I wonder if that one will help me. So I'm going to go ahead and click that one. And it's going to open a different small group move. So you guys, you're really just clicking and looking for what's available. And when I look at this, still AKS2, just a different IOA, I'm seeing that it's really not about strategies. It's about subtracting across a 0 or relating addition to subtraction. So I don't have anything in my small group moves. Well, guess what? I still have a student or a couple of students that need that thinking. So what I'm going to do is I am going to model addition and subtraction on a number line, then provide students with additional practice. Okay, so where am I getting that from? You guys, if you want to use the problems that you used from the previous group because you already have them printed, then you can do that. Don't feel like you have to create a whole new thing. You can use that word problem, but just model it with a number line and give them something else to practice. So there wasn't anything, but I'm not having to recreate the wheel. I can really still use the small group moves to help me, just making sure I address that specific misconception. All right, our last, Anderson, do you want to ask a question? Feel free.
Yes, I have that problem with my second graders right now. They're doing the adding 4 2-digit numbers. They're using the strategies, their models are correct, but they keep miscounting. So that's something like I'm teaching them, like, you got to count it at least 3 times. Because they know the strategies, but they just keep miscounting it, and the work is right, the models are right, but they still are just miscounting the numbers.
Yes, girl, that was the perfect segue for my catch and release group. You led to it. So my last one is I noticed I have one student that had a calculation error due to organization.
Mhm.
So what I want to do is I want to pull that student and I'm going to go ahead and put catch and release. So this, I know this group isn't going to take me but a second. And I'm going to show her how to organize her work on a place value chart. And it may be one of those things, just like you said, that I need them. All right, here, you organize your work. I want you to count it 3 times before you figure out your total. And until you get really, really good at it. But this is a one-on-one quick conversation.
And
So there's, yeah, go ahead.
No, you go.
Again, there is nothing in the small group moves because it's just a little computation thing that I want to address. So I'm going to walk that student over. I'm going to have her show her that mistake in her work like the teacher did in the video, and then give her the opportunity to practice that problem again with that tens and ones chart. So she can see how that organizational piece would really help.
And Miss Anderson, I was just going to chime in with, if that's the case, and we don't know if that was the case for this kid, but based on the work, it was just the organization of the number line. It could be that for your students as well. But one way to scaffold them additionally with the counting is provide that 100 chart for them. And that would help track their counting on a 100 chart, and then they can make the jumps on the number line. So that's something to consider. You're welcome.
Okay, so guys, what we wanted you to see is that a lot of the work is done for you. So can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So what we wanted you guys to have the opportunity to do is a little bit of practice with this. So we are going to put this document in the chat, and this is why we had you change to your grade level. So you're going to click the formative for your grade level. And y'all, these are fast formatives. So that means they're multiple choice. The misconceptions are embedded in the answer choices. So you're going to work with your group to figure out what the misconceptions are for the fast formative for each answer choice. Then you're going to look at those small group moves and figure out which lesson will address that misconception. And we would love for you to record your thinking on your planner. So you'll have the same planner I had. You'll be able to share your screen, and you're going to type in the thinking of your group. So you can pick a recorder, but what we're asking is that you guys give this a try before our last meeting, because we wanted you to come back and talk through it and talk through how it went. Let us problem solve with you and really think about what can make this process easier for you guys. We know that small groups is where you're really going to get the bang for your buck. So if you walk out of one thing from New Teacher Math Academy, it's a pretty decent sense of how to do some of this thinking. So we are going to give you, what do we think, Catherine? 12 minutes?
Yeah, 12 to 15 minutes. Yes.
12 to 15 minutes for you to work in your groups. Catherine already dropped
the link.
And I am going to.
You want me to open the rooms?
That's perfect.
Okay. And before you go out there, if the fast formative, you also want to consider, and I open the rooms as y'all are going, they're going to show their work too. So consider what strategies may appear with those, with the work with those fast formatives.
We got some people not wanting to come back, Catherine.
That's a good thing.
Right. I
Keep
love
having
it.
that conversation.
There we go. All right, you guys. Hopefully that felt doable. Does anyone kind of want to share how that felt in your group and how it went?
I'll share. I felt relieved because it's like, whew, I'm not alone. I'm having these same problems with other kindergarten teachers, and at North Metro Academy of Performing Arts, I'm the only kindergarten teacher. So it's like, yeah, I have the teachers at our sister school that's connected, Peachtree Elementary, but our planning times are like completely different and it just conflicts. And I'm just like, I'm by myself. So to hear these like ideas of like what I can do within the classroom is beneficial.
I love it. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
Yeah, hi. I would like to share that really like the way you explained us putting that planner in place, copying the links and coming up what exactly we need to work on if there is certain misconception. I think that planner, what you showed us step by step, helped us a lot.
That's
Perfect.
and I do want to let you all know, you should already know, all of the resources you've seen here will always be uploaded to our new teacher our new teacher website under our resources for today's meeting. So you will have access to all of these.
Yeah, it also helps a lot with on how to, plan more out on your small groups.
Mhm.
It
Yes.
was very,
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yep.
And I would literally just jot notes in that note section as I'm working with kids, maybe write their name and do a check mark or like a little note about something I still need to work with them on. And then you have all of your documentation when admin comes in. This is what I'm doing and this is why.
Yep. And the
Yeah, with
documentation can be used for EIP meetings too, or IEP meetings if you have to go have a kid talk on one of your students. So having that with you is a great tool. And I did not mean to cut you off, Miss Johnson.
oh no, I was about to say, like, with our school on yesterday when we had a meeting, like during intervention times, they kind of like changed it to the WIN, which will stand for what I need for each student. So with that, when we do like interventions, we can, individually work with children on the quote unquote win
Mhm.
for what each student needs instead of, just naming it just intervention.
I love that. That's great.
Thank you guys so much. We know everything always feels a little rushed, but we really wanted to give you that glimpse into the background on what you saw in that video, what that teacher did. And it wasn't so much of, I have to sit down and plan all of these things out. A lot of times it's really more about what the resource has in it and how to use it. So it's not as much planning on you guys as it seems like. Sometimes you can copy and paste and just print and be ready to go.
So here we are wrapping up. Our next session is our very last session, and it's going to be in March, and it's going to be in person. So Faith and I are just so excited to literally lay eyes on you people. So we've only seen you through screens, and y'all have seen us through screens. So we are thrilled you are going to be joining us. Hopefully you'll be able to join us on March 21st. So go ahead and mark your calendar. And I know we repeat it every single time. If you haven't already, please be sure to register. Now, when we come together on March 21st, we are going to ask that you bring some kind of artifact from your implementation of teacher-led small groups. What we've talked about from these past two sessions, we talked about the formatives and how to make your small groups, build your teacher-led small groups today. It could be your planner, it could be the formative, it could be student work. Just bring something when you come to that meeting because we'll just do some thinking around that, okay? And as always, we have our Padlet. Faith and I we go and check all the time. No
Checked it
new
today.
questions this week. Yep. So if you have any questions, thoughts, concerns, please feel free to put them in the Padlet. And then Faith is going to drop the attendance for you. And this time, I think we got the right link, y'all. So thank you for being
Right.
patient with last time.
Sorry, my Zoom stuff is in the way.
You're good. Do you want me to grab it, Faith? I can grab
Yep,
it.
I got it. Here we
Okay.
go.
Okay. And guys, it is 5:15. You all fill out the attendance form. And again, Faith and I cannot be more grateful to you for joining us. New teachers are a passion that Faith and I have in the field of education. So we're just thrilled you were here with us in these 5 sessions, and we hope to see you in March.
Hi, Catherine.
Yes, Shanaz.
March, March, what time?
It is at 4:30, and we tried to accommodate the time for late elementary schools and people coming from like the South Gwinnett cluster, or on the, I guess the eastern side of the county would be the way it would be.
Okay, 4:30 to 5:30 or 6?
5:30. It's going to be about an hour, and I'll go ahead and give you a little preview. We are going to have a panel of four special friends that we have that are going to be available to you that we can just ask questions of. So we're going to send out an email just thinking through some questions you may still have. Bring them with you to that meeting, and you're going to have, outside of myself and Faith, 4 expert teachers. We have a good mix of teachers coming, so we're excited about it. That's a great question. It is going to be at the ISC. We'll send all of that in the email.
Thank you.
You are welcome. But thank you all for being here. Go enjoy your afternoon or your evening. It is 2 minutes late, so y'all go. But Faith and I will be here for 2 or 3 minutes to answer any questions you may have.
All right.
Y'all have a great afternoon.
See y'all in March.